Have you ever had one of those mornings where the alarm rings, you hit snooze without thinking, and suddenly you're in a rush, grabbing whatever you can find, mentally exhausted before the day even starts? Most of us know that feeling far too well. But what if I told you that the quality of your entire life is being silently shaped by the first 10 minutes of your morning? Not the big decisions, not the long-term plans, just the quiet moment right after you open your eyes. That's exactly where the miracle morning begins. Not with motivation, not with discipline, but with a single decision: how you choose to start your day. Because here's the truth nobody tells you: your morning is the foundation of your mindset, and your mindset is the foundation of your life. If the morning is chaotic, rushed, or reactive, the rest of the day follows the same rhythm. But if the morning feels intentional, slow, and aligned with your best self, everything that follows naturally rises to that standard. You stop living life on autopilot and start living with purpose. And that shift is what this concept is all about. Imagine waking up tomorrow, and instead of checking your phone or scrolling through notifications, you pause. You sit in silence. You breathe. You tell yourself words you actually need to hear. You picture the life you want, not as a fantasy, but as a reality waiting for you to step into. You move your body just enough to feel alive. You feed your mind with something that lifts you, and you write down what matters. Doesn't sound complicated, right? But the impact is unbelievably powerful. Most people fail not because they lack potential, but because they start each day at a mental disadvantage. They wake up reacting to problems instead of preparing for possibilities. The miracle morning flips that script. It takes the most vulnerable part of your day, the waking moment, and turns it into a powerful ritual that fuels clarity, confidence, and consistent growth. You stop waking up to the world's demands and start waking up for yourself. But let's be honest, changing your morning isn't about forcing yourself to become a morning person. It's about choosing not to let the chaos of yesterday dictate the energy of today. It's about creating a small space where you can meet a better version of yourself before the world tries to distract you. That's why this routine works. It doesn't demand perfection. It demands intention. The surprising part? Even just a few minutes can change your emotional state so dramatically that the entire day feels different. You think clearer. You act faster. You feel more grounded. And over time, this small daily practice doesn't just improve your mornings, it rewires who you believe you are and what you think you can achieve. This is the wake-up call most of us never got, not for your alarm clock, but for your life. And once you experience that shift, you'll never want to start your morning any other way. Most people think a powerful morning routine starts with discipline, motivation, or a perfectly structured plan. But the truth is far more simple and much more surprising. Your morning transforms the moment you realize that every day is a blank page, and you get to choose what story goes on it. Think about it. Every night your mind resets, your thoughts settle, your emotions soften, and your body prepares to begin again. Yet most of us wake up as if nothing has changed, carrying yesterday's stress, yesterday's doubts, and yesterday's frustrations straight into today. The miracle morning begins with understanding this invisible reset, the daily chance to rewrite the direction of your life, one morning at a time. Picture this. You wake up, and instead of reacting to alarms, noise, tasks, or messages, you pause long enough to recognize something profound. You are entering a new chapter. The first moment of the day isn't meant for the world's expectations. It's meant for reconnecting with who you are and who you want to become. This is where the power of the miracle morning truly starts. Not with routines, not with schedules, but with awareness. Awareness that your life isn't shaped by dramatic transformations, but by the small decisions you repeat every single day. The real reason mornings matter so much is because your mind is never more open, more impressionable, or more honest than it is right after waking up. In those first few minutes, your brain is shifting from subconscious to conscious mode. That means whatever you feed it, fear or focus, chaos or clarity, distraction or direction, will ripple through the entire day. Most people give this moment away without even thinking. They start scrolling, worrying, rushing, or complaining, and slowly, without realizing it, their entire life becomes a reflection of these habits. But imagine flipping that pattern. Imagine waking up and telling your mind, "Today I choose intention." That one shift changes everything. You no longer sleepwalk through the day. You engage with it. You direct it. You upgrade the quality of your thoughts before the world tries to pull you in 100 directions. This is why so many people who adopt the miracle morning say it feels like waking up from a life they didn't even realize they were asleep in. This morning awakening isn't about forcing yourself to be productive at sunrise. It's about recognizing that every day gives you a fresh emotional canvas, a chance to paint something better than yesterday. And when you start your morning by taking control of your inner world, your outer world naturally begins to align. You become clearer, you become calmer, you become more intentional. And slowly, you begin to realize that your mornings weren't just routines, they were the ignition for your entire transformation. This is the quiet truth behind the miracle morning. Before your day begins, you already have the power to choose who you'll be in it. Every morning, the moment you wake up, you're standing at a crossroads between repeating the same patterns or stepping into a higher version of yourself. And the Miracle Morning's S.A.V.E.R.S routine is designed exactly for that second choice. Not because it's trendy, not because it's difficult, but because it's simple enough for anyone to practice and powerful enough to transform everything from your mood to your mindset to your long-term identity. Think of S.A.V.E.R.S as the 6 building blocks that help you polish the version of yourself you want to present to the world, one intentional habit at a time. It begins with silence, not the forced kind, but the kind where you breathe deeply and let your mind settle before the noise of the day arrives. In these moments of calm, your thoughts stop running, your emotions balance, and you start the day grounded instead of scattered. It's like giving your mind a gentle reset button. Then comes affirmations, the words you speak to yourself, the promises you remind yourself of, the beliefs you're choosing to build. Most people spend their mornings soaking in doubts or distractions. Affirmations flip that by planting purposeful thoughts right where your day begins. Visualization follows naturally. It's not just about imagining the life you want, but mentally rehearsing the actions, emotions, and habits that will bring that life closer. When you see yourself succeeding, your brain begins to align with that version of you. Suddenly, confidence isn't something you chase, it becomes something you wear. Then there's exercise. Not an hour at the gym, not an intense routine, but simply enough movement to wake your muscles, activate your energy, and remind your body that it's alive and capable. Even 5 minutes can change your physiology. Reading comes next, feeding your mind the knowledge and inspiration it needs to grow. When you read even a single page every morning, you're placing yourself in a position of constant learning. You're reminding your brain that every day holds the potential for improvement. And finally, scribing, the quiet practice of writing your thoughts, your gratitude, your goals, or even the worries you want to release. This simple act brings clarity. It turns invisible emotions into visible words. It helps you understand yourself before the world demands anything from you. The beauty of S.A.V.E.R.S is that it works for everyone, no matter your lifestyle or schedule. Whether you spend 60 minutes or 6 minutes, the effect is the same. You begin your day consciously. You guide your energy instead of letting it scatter. You choose intention over autopilot. One habit supports the next, creating a chain reaction of mental and emotional alignment. Over time, these practices don't just shape your mornings, they reshape your identity. The secret of S.A.V.E.R.S is that it isn't about changing your life overnight. It's about changing the way you show up each morning and watching your life follow that shift. Because once your mornings become powerful, your days naturally begin to rise to that same level. If you've ever wondered why some people wake up energized, focused, and ready to take on the world, while others drag themselves through the day, the answer is not motivation, it's biology. The science behind the miracle morning is what makes it so effective. It isn't about forcing productivity, it's about aligning with how the brain and body naturally function. Every morning, your brain goes through a powerful transition as it shifts from sleep mode to wakefulness, and this window is where transformation becomes possible. Right when you wake up, your mind is in a state called theta, a deeply suggestive, peaceful brainwave pattern. This is the same state people enter during meditation and hypnosis. It means your thoughts, habits, and beliefs can be influenced more easily than at any other time of day. So, if you begin the morning scrolling through negativity, your brain absorbs it. But if you start with silence, affirmations, or visualization, you imprint clarity and confidence instead. That's not magic. That's neuroscience. Then there's willpower. Studies show willpower is a limited daily resource. It's strongest in the morning and fades throughout the day. That's why changing habits later in the day feels harder. When you build positive habits early, you take advantage of this natural mental strength before it's drained by decisions, distractions, and stress. The miracle morning places your most important internal work at the time when your brain is most capable of doing it. Hormones play an equally big role. Your cortisol, a natural wake-up chemical, is highest in the morning. When used well, this activates alertness, focus, and steady energy. But if your morning is stressful or rushed, that cortisol becomes anxiety. Silence, slow breathing, or light exercise helps regulate this hormone, turning stress chemistry into clarity chemistry. Meanwhile, even short bursts of morning movement release dopamine and endorphins, the neurotransmitters of motivation and positivity. These don't just make you feel good. They make your brain more capable of learning, planning, and staying disciplined. Habit stacking is another scientific pillar. When you attach a new habit to an existing one, your brain accepts it more easily. The S.A.V.E.R.S routine is essentially 6 habit stacks woven into one ritual. Over time, your brain treats it as a single identity action, something you do because of who you are, not because you force yourself. This is why people who practice the miracle morning consistently say it feels natural after a while, even enjoyable. The final piece of science is neuroplasticity, your brain's ability to rewire itself through consistent repetition. Every morning when you practice silence, clarity, movement, or learning, you're strengthening neural pathways that support calmness, confidence, discipline, and resilience. Small daily repetition beats occasional effort because the brain changes slowly but permanently. This is why the miracle morning works. It isn't spiritual luck or random motivation. It is biology, chemistry, and psychology working together to build a stronger, clearer version of you, one morning at a time. There's a unique kind of magic hidden inside the first few minutes of silence every morning, something most people never experience because they rush into their day before they even take a breath. But silence is the foundation of the miracle morning for a reason. It's not just about being quiet. It's about creating space inside yourself where clarity can grow. When you sit in intentional silence, you're not escaping life, you're preparing for it. The world pulls your attention in 1,000 directions from the moment you wake up. Notifications, responsibilities, noise, expectations, they all compete for your mental bandwidth. But silence brings you back to the center. It reminds you that your mind is not supposed to live in chaos. It's supposed to guide you, not overwhelm you. And when you give your mind a moment of peace, it responds in powerful ways. Stress drops, your breath slows, your thoughts become clearer, and your emotions soften. This silence doesn't need to be perfect or long. Even 1 minute of deep, conscious breathing can shift your entire internal state. Because in that moment, you're telling your mind, before the world enters, I will meet myself first. That shift is more transformative than people expect. The quiet allows you to observe your thoughts instead of being controlled by them. You begin to understand what you're feeling, why you're feeling it, and how you want to respond. Instead of waking up reactive, you wake up grounded. Meditation, prayer, breathwork, or simple stillness all count as silence. You don't need special techniques. You don't need to force your mind to empty. All you need to do is sit, breathe, and let the noise settle on its own. The purpose isn't perfection, it's presence. Because presence is what reconnects you to your goals, your peace, and your sense of direction. When silence becomes a daily habit, something deeper begins to change. You start noticing patterns in your thinking. You catch yourself before negativity spirals. You become more patient, more intentional, more aware. This mental clarity doesn't stay in the morning. It follows you through the entire day. You make decisions faster. You handle problems with more ease. You speak with more confidence. You carry a calmness that others can feel. We live in a world where people are constantly overstimulated, and silence becomes a rare luxury. But those who practice it discover something profound. Your inner world controls your outer world, and silence is how you take back that control. While others react to stress, you respond with clarity. While others get overwhelmed, you remain centered. While others wake up rushed, you wake up aligned. This is why silence is the first letter of S.A.V.E.R.S. It isn't just another habit, it's the doorway to all the others. When you master the art of quieting your mind, everything else, affirmations, visualization, exercise, reading and writing, flows with more power and purpose. Silence doesn't just start your morning. It strengthens your life from the inside out. If you ever pay attention to the way you speak to yourself, you'll notice something shocking. Your inner voice is shaping your entire life, whether you realize it or not. Affirmations are the heart of the miracle morning because they give you the power to rewrite that inner voice, to choose thoughts that strengthen you instead of weaken you. But affirmations aren't meant to be empty, positive thinking. They're designed to shift your identity by changing the messages you feed your mind every morning. Most of the limitations in your life don't come from your actual abilities. They come from the stories you tell yourself about what you can or cannot do. I'm not good enough. I'm not disciplined. I always fail. These thoughts become mental programs, and the more you repeat them, the more you believe them. Affirmations replace those programs with intentional, empowering statements that guide your emotions, actions, and long-term self-belief. The key to effective affirmations isn't repeating random lines. It's aligning the words with the life you want to create. When you say, "I am disciplined," your brain doesn't instantly believe it, but it begins scanning for proof. It nudges you to act in ways that match that identity. When you say, "I am capable of achieving my goals," you subconsciously look for opportunities instead of obstacles. Affirmations help your mind focus on what's possible. The most powerful affirmations start with clarity. You want to define who you want to become, why it matters, and what actions you're willing to take. For example, I show up for myself every morning because my future deserves consistency, or I choose courage today, even when it feels uncomfortable. These statements anchor you to your purpose. They remind you of your strength when your doubts try to take over. Affirmations also work because the brain can't distinguish between reality and repetition. When you repeat something with emotion and intention, your subconscious begins to accept it as truth. This is why negative self-talk is so damaging, and why intentional affirmations are so powerful. They're a conscious decision to take control of your narrative. When you practice affirmations daily, your behavior begins to change. You stop shrinking yourself. You start taking risks. You trust your abilities more. You build a stronger relationship with yourself. Even your body language shifts. Your shoulders lift. Your posture opens. Your voice becomes sure. This isn't pretend confidence. It's rooted confidence built from repeated self-belief. Think of affirmations as mental nutrition. You feed your mind the thoughts that inspire growth, not doubt. Some mornings you'll feel motivated, and some mornings you won't. But affirmations don't depend on mood. They shape your mood. They become the internal compass that guides you through challenges. This practice isn't about lying to yourself. It's about intentionally choosing the thoughts that support the life you're building. Because when your inner voice becomes your biggest supporter, your outer world begins to reflect that strength. Visualization is one of the most underestimated tools for personal growth, yet it's used by athletes, performers, entrepreneurs, and high achievers across every field. Why? Because the brain doesn't just respond to what you do, it responds to what you imagine. The miracle morning includes visualization because it taps into the mind's ability to rehearse success before it becomes real. It allows you to mentally walk into the version of yourself you're becoming. Imagine waking up every morning and spending just a minute seeing the life you're working toward, not as a dream, but as a reality unfolding in front of you. You picture yourself taking action confidently. You imagine your ideal habits, your ideal behavior, your ideal energy. And as you do, something remarkable happens. Your brain begins to accept that vision as familiar. When something feels familiar, it feels possible. When it feels possible, it feels achievable. Visualization works because it activates the same neural pathways that fire when you physically perform an action. If you imagine yourself speaking confidently, your brain prepares your body to do so. If you imagine yourself staying consistent with your goals, your mind becomes more aligned with discipline. If you imagine yourself handling challenges calmly, you build emotional resilience before the challenge even arrives. But visualization isn't just about seeing the outcome, it's about feeling it. When you imagine how proud you'll feel, how relieved, how empowered, how focused, those emotions create a chemical shift inside the brain. Your body begins to experience the future in the present. This emotional rehearsal becomes an internal motivator, pulling you toward your goals instead of pushing you. The most effective visualizations are clear and detailed. Picture your ideal morning. Picture your best self moving through the day. Picture your home, your work, your health, your relationships, all functioning with intention. Picture your goals not as distant dreams, but as scenes you're stepping into with confidence. Visualization also solves a major problem, fear. Most people don't fail because they lack ability. They fail because their mind rehearses the worst-case scenario over and over again. Visualization flips that by rehearsing success instead of fear. When your brain gets used to seeing positive outcomes, challenges feel less threatening and more manageable. You enter the day with direction. Daily visualization builds consistency. Each morning, you remind your mind what you're working toward. You strengthen your commitment. You align your decisions with your vision. Life stops feeling random and starts feeling intentional. The best part is that visualization only takes a few moments. You can do it while sitting, breathing, or even walking. The key is to connect emotionally with the image you're creating. As days turn into weeks, you'll notice yourself acting differently. Not because you forced change, but because your mind already accepted the new version of you. Visualization doesn't just show you what's possible, it prepares you to become the person who makes it real. There is one habit inside the miracle morning that instantly changes your energy, your mood, your motivation, and even your confidence. And that is exercise. Not the long, exhausting, gym-style routine most people imagine, but simple, intentional movement that wakes up your body and signals your brain that it's time to switch on. Morning exercise is not about burning calories, it's about activating the mental and emotional power you need for the day. When you wake up, your body is still in a low-energy state. Your muscles are stiff, your blood flow is slow, and your brain is transitioning out of sleep. A few minutes of exercise increases oxygen flow, raises your heart rate, and releases chemicals like dopamine, serotonin, and endorphins, the very things that create happiness, clarity, and drive. This is why people who move their body early in the day feel more alive and alert. You don't need to do anything intense. Stretching, yoga, jumping jacks, a quick walk, or even a short mobility routine can be enough. The goal is not perfection or intensity, it's activation. When your body activates, your mind follows. You think faster, you feel more capable, your stress decreases, you handle challenges with more resilience. It's the biological kickstart your day needs. Science shows that even brief exercise increases something called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Think of BDNF as fertilizer for your brain. It helps you learn faster, remember better, and stay mentally sharp. Morning movement floods your brain with this natural growth chemical, preparing you to perform at your best. This is why many successful people start their day with exercise. It sets the tone for the entire day. Exercise also shifts your identity. When you move your body every morning, you prove something to yourself, that you are someone who shows up, someone who takes care of their health, someone who chooses progress over excuses. This identity builds confidence. Even on days when nothing goes right, you already have a win the moment you start your morning with movement. One of the biggest benefits of morning exercise is emotional stability. When you move your body, stress hormones like cortisol regulate naturally. Your mood levels out. You feel lighter, calmer, and more in control. Problems that felt overwhelming the night before start to look manageable. You don't just feel physically stronger, you feel mentally invincible. Morning exercise doesn't need special equipment. It doesn't need a perfect environment, it just needs consistency. 5 minutes daily is more effective than 1 hour once a week. It's not about the workout, it's about the activation. When you combine movement with the other S.A.V.E.R.S habits, something incredible happens. Your energy rises, your mind sharpens, and your confidence strengthens. You enter the day from a place of power instead of survival. This is why exercise is non-negotiable in the miracle morning. It's the spark that wakes up not just your body, but the strongest, most capable version of you. If there's one thing that separates people who keep growing from people who stay stuck, it's this: what they feed their mind every day. The miracle morning includes reading and scribing because these two habits nourish the brain in ways that last far beyond the morning. They shape your mindset, your creativity, your clarity, and even your emotional health. These are not just activities, they are investments. Let's start with reading. Most people stop learning after school, but success requires lifelong learning. Reading even 2 pages each morning can introduce you to ideas that shift your perspective, solve problems, inspire action, and open possibilities you never considered. When you read in the morning, your mind is fresh, open, and focused. You absorb more. You connect dots more easily. You take in knowledge without distraction. Reading also exposes you to people you've never met, mentors, thinkers, leaders, who can guide your decisions without ever speaking to you directly. This is why morning reading is powerful. It replaces fear with wisdom. It replaces confusion with clarity. It replaces doubt with direction. And over time, these small doses of knowledge compound into deep personal growth. Scribing, writing, or journaling is equally transformative. When you write, you slow your thoughts down enough to actually understand them. You give your mind structure. You turn swirling emotions into clear sentences. You release mental clutter. Journaling is like opening a window inside your mind and letting the dust blow out. Writing helps you reflect on what you want, what you're grateful for, what you've learned, and what you're working through. It brings awareness to patterns you never noticed. It helps you recognize progress you often overlook. Some mornings your writing may be emotional. Other mornings it may be strategic, but every time it brings clarity. One of the biggest benefits of journaling is emotional healing. When thoughts stay in your mind, they grow heavier. But when you write them down, they become manageable. You begin to see solutions, you begin to feel lighter, you begin to understand yourself with honesty. Reading and scribing combined create a powerful cycle. Reading fills your mind, writing organizes it. Reading expands your ideas, writing sharpens them. Reading teaches you, writing transforms you. This is why the S.A.V.E.R.S routine places them together. They work hand in hand. You don't need to read a whole chapter or write an entire page. Even a small amount of morning reading and writing can shift your entire mindset for the day. Over weeks and months, they reshape your thinking patterns. You become more aware, more intentional, more focused, more emotionally grounded. Some people use reading to learn new skills. Some use it for inspiration. Some use journaling to set goals. Others use it to release stress. There's no correct way to do it. There is only the commitment to show up. When you feed your mind and express your thoughts every morning, you take control of your inner world. And when your inner world grows stronger, your outer world naturally follows. The beauty of the miracle morning is that it isn't a strict rulebook or a rigid schedule. It's a flexible blueprint that adapts to your life, your energy, your responsibilities, your pace. That's why creating your personalized miracle morning is the final and most important step. It's about designing a morning routine that feels realistic, meaningful, and sustainable for you, not copying someone else's schedule. The first thing to understand is this: your miracle morning does not need to be long. Many people think they need a full hour, but the truth is, even 6 minutes can make a powerful difference. 1 minute of silence, 1 minute of affirmations, 1 minute of visualization, 1 minute of movement, 1 minute of reading, and 1 minute of writing. This is enough to shift your mindset and set a positive tone for the day. Once the habit becomes natural, you can extend each part if you want. Next, tailor your routine to your lifestyle. If you're a student, You might need a quicker routine on weekdays and a longer one on weekends. If you're a parent, your miracle morning may happen before your children wake up or even during small windows throughout the morning. If you're an entrepreneur, you might choose a routine that sharpens decision-making and creativity. The goal is not perfect timing, it's consistent intention. One of the biggest barriers people face is the snooze button. The miracle morning suggests a simple but powerful strategy. Put your alarm across the room. When you physically get out of bed, you break the cycle of half sleep and give your brain a chance to wake up fully. You can also drink a glass of water right after waking. It hydrates your brain and shifts your body out of sleep mode. Sleep matters just as much as waking. Creating a nighttime ritual helps your morning flow smoothly. Turning off screens early, lowering lights, or reading before bed tells your mind it's time to rest. You can't expect a powerful morning if your night is chaotic. Tracking your habits can help too. When you check off your savers each day, you build momentum. You reinforce consistency. You start seeing yourself as someone who follows through. This identity shift is more important than the routine itself. Another key is removing pressure. Your miracle morning should not feel like homework. It should feel like a gift you're giving yourself, a space to reset, grow, and reconnect. Some mornings will feel great, others will feel slow. But as long as you show up, even imperfectly, you're building the mental strength that transforms your life. Over time, your personalized miracle morning stops being a routine and becomes a lifestyle. You wake up with purpose. You think clearly. You handle challenges with more ease. You feel aligned with the person you want to be. That's the real miracle, not the morning itself, but the version of you that rises from it every single day. If you found value in this journey, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. The channel name is Audiobook Library.